another storm. You guys are the smart ones up here in the barn. I know that the rain on the roof is loud. I'm not sure how this is all gonna sound on camera, but as you can see, we're getting hit yet again, and today should probably be a shop day. I've been working in the shop for the last couple of days, and I'm ready for something different. So I'm gonna do the next best thing, which is a barn day. I noticed the other day that I've got this really saggy spot here in the roof, and the problem is this post here is either sinking or rotten or both. So I want to try to jack the roof up and support it, remove the old post, and put in a brand new one. I should be able to do most of that without going out in that and getting wet. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. I know the audio is not going to be good today, so probably do a lot of this to music. But the first thing that I've got to do is start bracing these posts. So the one on the right here is fine. It doesn't need anything because it's not attached to this 2x8 that goes across the header, I guess you'd call it. Obviously, we need to do a lot of bracing and reinforcement here, but then I also wanted to reinforce the roof on this next post because it is attached to this 2x8 that I want to remove and replace as well. So you're going to see me put a few of these brace posts up, and then hopefully I've brought all the right tools that I can remove this post today. The roof is looking pretty flat, pretty level now, the way that it should look. And I think I ended up lifting this up like 6 or maybe even 8 inches. You can see this post has completely detached itself from the ground and is just floating there now. That's how rotten it was, and clearly broken off as well. So it really wasn't doing that much to hold the roof up, obviously. So this is good that we're getting in here and getting this replaced. The next step is to detach the post from the rafters, and then I got to get this header off as well because it's just kind of in rough shape, and I have a 2x8 that is the perfect length to replace that one with. So we're going to do it now while we're here. Before I start diving into that though, I want to try to brace this up a little bit more because right now the jack is holding everything, and as many of you know, jacks can settle. It's not really good to just leave the weight of the roof on that jack, so I'm going to try to find some more beams that I can sort of wedge up in here to hold that, because when I start pounding on it and prying on it, I don't want to have to be worrying about this thing dropping on me. All right, I don't think it's gonna fall. If it was gonna fall, it probably would have. Almost got the camera. Knew that would happen. Well, wouldn't you know, I got this nail sticking out here, and that's right where the new post is gonna go, which usually that's not a big deal, right? But the problem is that on the other side there's another board sandwiched on top of it, so there's no getting that nail out. I'm gonna have to cut it off. Great, where did that go? Oh, look at that. Oh, that must be the post. There it is. So I've got this hole kind of cone shaped, and my plan is to pour a bunch of concrete down in the bottom until I get that built up enough to where the bottom of the post is going to be. It's probably going to be like 1 or 2 feet of concrete below the end of the post. Once I get the concrete in there, then I can set the post in the hole, clamp it to the rafters up here, get everything square, and then fill the hole the rest of the way with concrete. Right there. Well, this is a first. I really only set out to get this tore down today, and I figured tomorrow I'd put the post in, but I'm done. That never happens. It's always the opposite. You think you can get so far and you don't even get half that far, but this turned out good. I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to leave the braces up for a while just because the ground is wet and I want to make sure that concrete has enough time to cure, and with the cold and the wet, that's going to be a while. So there's no reason why these braces can't stay here for, I mean, months, honestly. They don't really need to move until I start bringing hay back in the barn. All right, let's go see what else we can get into. It's been several days since I've done a calf count update, and over here at the winter pasture, the calves have been dropping like crazy. If you remember earlier in the year, over at the home ranch, the calves outnumbered the calves here by like 5 to 1 or 10 to 1, I don't know, a bunch. But now these girls are starting to catch up. Number 26 here poses a bit of a problem, potentially at least. She had a calf the other day, and you can see her bag is just enormous. I mean, we could just about ship her down the road to a dairy, right? The problem with cattle like this is sometimes the calves can have trouble finding a quarter to nurse on because they're so big and so low to the ground. I can see that this calf has found one because one has definitely been nursed down, but I've had cattle in the past where their bags get so big that you have to help the calf nurse for that first time. In my experience, usually what happens with these cows is once the calves do get started on one quarter, then they will eventually find the others. Once a calf gets going, that cow will raise a gigantic calf. I don't get too excited wanting to cull cattle like this as long as they're able to do their job. So far, I've never had to assist any of her calves. So as long as that's the case, she's fine. Out of the 18 cows that I've got left over here, 11 of them have had calves. And by the looks of the remaining 7, it's not gonna be too much longer before their calves hit the ground as well. I would love to think that all of these cows will have their calves here at this ranch, but in all the years that I've been bringing my cows here, I don't think that's ever been the case. There's always been like 1, 2, 3, maybe as much as 4 or 5 cattle that are really late having their calves that will end up having the calf back at the home ranch after we move them home. But if we can get the majority of them born here, I'm happy with that. Down here at the home ranch, we're up to 14 calves on the ground out of a total of 18 cows that are bred. We've actually got 19 cows here plus Buddy, but obviously Buddy's not gonna have a calf. And then the Bismarck bull calf's mom is not bred, so I'm not expecting anything out of her. Now the 4 cows over here that I'm waiting on, one is number 19 back here. This is the cow that I just grabbed from the winter pasture a week or 2 ago because she kept breaking out. She's generally a late calver. She looks bred to me, but I don't expect anything out of her anytime soon. Another one we're waiting on is red white face number 10 here. This is a much older cow. She had twins last year, as a matter of fact, so I'm not sure that she's bred. I mean, everyone always asks, do I preg check? No, I don't, but I should. Then I would know, but we'll see what happens with her. Usually in the past, she's calved mostly on time, but sometimes when cattle have twins, they'll have a tough time rebreeding for a couple reasons. Number one, sometimes during the delivery process, delivering twins, they can retain placenta, they can injure themselves in other ways, and if that happens, then they won't breed back. But then the other thing is that throughout the summer, she's got 2 calves nursing on her, which drags her down a little bit, and I think that has a direct effect on fertility. Like maybe she doesn't go into heat, or she doesn't cycle as strongly, so that it's harder for the bulls to detect. Something along those lines. I'm sure somebody out there knows the science behind it, but I do know that when a cow has twins, usually the next year, if she does breed back, it'll be a little bit later. Another one I'm waiting, they all happen to be standing right next to each other. This is kind of funny, but it's number 61 laying down here. This is a first calf heifer, meaning that she's never had a calf before. And first calf heifers generally calve early or really late. It doesn't look like she's going to be one of the early variety, but by looking at her, she looks bred to me. She's got that big barrel stomach, and I think that we'll probably get something out of her, although it'll probably be on the later end. I don't really see her bagging up too much yet, so this is one that I'll keep my eye on, but we'll have to wait and see. The trouble with first calf heifers breeding late is that the following year, she's going to be at an extra disadvantage of staying on time with her calving schedule. Second calf heifers, or cows that are on their second calf, are the hardest to get bred. I'm not exactly sure why, if it's because their hormones are doing funky things at that stage in life, or because they're still growing while they're trying to conceive. Whatever the reason, second calf heifers are very hard to get bred. And if she's already late this year, that means that she will start cycling late this breeding season. So she'll be at a double disadvantage. Hopefully she makes it though. We'll just have to wait and see. Last cow over here that we're waiting on is number 18 here. She's gigantic, so I'm pretty sure that she's bred, and she's been a pretty reliable calver in the past. Hey, buddy. So I'm not worried about her. I think the calf's on the way, but it's just not here yet. I've learned here lately, Buddy likes when you scratch. I mean, on a horse, this would be withers. I guess on a cow, it's still called withers, right? But man, he digs it. Look at him. Whoa. I guess you can't reach that spot yourself, can you? So if you haven't been counting, that brings the grand total to 25, which is roughly about 70% of our expected calf crop. So I'm pretty happy with that. We started getting calves early March, although our due dates really didn't start until mid-March. So we're about one heat cycle in, and we've already got 70% of the calves on the ground, which is pretty good. Since getting my herd on Redmond Minerals, I've noticed that calving has tightened up a bit, which is something that I was really hoping would be a result of that mineral program. And it makes perfect sense because they're getting the minerals that they need, and that has a direct effect on fertility. That leads to them all getting bred faster in a more defined window. This is important because come sale time, all my calves are roughly the same size, and whatever calves end up going to the auction can go into pen lots, which are worth more money. So as a producer, not only is it easier management for me because all my calves come in a shorter time, but on the other end of it, it's also more profitable. So I guess we'll just keep watching and waiting for these last 11 calves to hit the ground. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.